Welcome back to our channel, where we help you level up your animation skills one frame at a time. Today, we're diving into something a bit more fun and spooky: how to animate zombies. Whether you're working on a creepy project for Halloween, or just want to add some undead flair to your animation portfolio, we've got you covered. For this video, we're breaking down key areas from an animation review by Jacob Gardner, head of animation at Agora Studio, where he shared feedback on a community member's zombie walk cycle. We hope these insights help you make your undead characters feel realistic, weighty, and of course, just the right amount of creepy. Our first focus is on the spine. A zombie's movement is often characterized by a loose, uncoordinated feel.
Take another look at the way he moves. Remember, Raylan. Almost like sleepwalking.
But the spine plays a big role in how believable that looks. Jacob shares how loosening it up can make a huge difference.
The first thing that I feel when watching this guy, especially from the side view, is how stiff his back is. There's a little bit of jiggle going on up here, but in general, this whole box of his entire torso is very locked, rotation-wise. And looking at the reference, this line of your back actually changes a significant amount. So when this foot lifts up, the back bends down a little bit, but then right here, as you reach your foot out to contact, this line is actually going up, bend back a little bit, and then that allows for this recoil that it's connected to how when the hips go up, the back goes down. And that then also leads into the recoil that you're adding into the head, which is cool. So that gives you a little bit more of an idea of what to do with the head once you get that back motion in there. And those kind of changes, not really change of shape, but change of orientation of the back based on what the hips are doing, based on where the weight is and what the feet are doing, is going to help a lot. It's going to connect all the pieces in a really fun way.
Next up, the arms. It's easy to think of them as heavy, lifeless pendulums, but there's actually more going on. The way the arms interact with the shoulders, elbows, and even the wrists adds to the zombie's overall feel.
I think you are doing a really good job of getting this pendulum motion that feels kind of heavy, but it doesn't feel like arms. It feels like animator motion. It feels like you know the animation concepts and you're able to apply them in a way that feels heavy, but it doesn't feel like arms. That's why arms are so hard. They don't move just like regular deadweight pendulums that you might think, because there's a little bit more happening here with how they work with the shoulder and then the elbow. The biggest difference on this particular example is that right here in your ref, you have this bend, and then when all your weight drops, it does not swing this further. What it does is this goes this way and this goes this way, so it straightens. So in the camera, it won't just do this, which is what I think you're animating. It does that. It straightens. This one rotates one way while the other one rotates the other way, so that it straightens, it hits, and it bounces again. And so after that, you do get a little bit more of that pendulum swing, but you're missing that elongation. You're missing that counter rotation between the two pieces so that it's straight. And then on top of that, you're adding a lot of wrist floppiness, not wrist floppiness, but the drag, the overlap, the way that those things settle. You're putting the animation principles in there of like, this is going to jiggle, so I'll make it jiggle. When in reality, the connection of our forearm to our wrist is a little bit more tense than that often. Even when you have a floppier wrist or you're not holding them very straight, like in your reference, there is not nearly that much wrist floppiness that you have in the animation. It is flopping around, but some of that comes from the forearm. And there's a little bit of rotation. There's definitely like this sort of thing going on. There's this sort of thing. There's even a little bit of twist. But in the animation, you have it kind of going more like this. And that, to me, doesn't quite feel like it's a wrist. It feels too floppy, especially for how heavy his are. Like, they're gonna want to keep pointing at the ground. He's got big, fat, meaty palms, and the weight of that, they're gonna want to keep pointing at the ground instead of flopping back and forth as much.
Moving on to the hips. Getting the hips to twist and shift correctly can bring a lot of life, well, undead life, to your animation. It's a subtle detail that can really make your zombie feel grounded and connected.
I don't think there's any hip twist. It's tough to see in your reference because of the black shorts, but the hips are moving. Like here, let's say from the top view, if you've got one leg back and one leg forward, from the top view, here the hips are going to be like that, and then when you get to this, the hips are going to be twisted the other way, because now you got this foot back and this foot forward underneath your body, and that line is going to twist back and forth. And it looks like right now on beta, there isn't any of that happening. So I'd add some of that in there. It'll help with the connectivity of the legs up into the torso. And also might help that feeling that the torso is very stiff too, because not only is it stiff rotation in X, but also there's that twist element that we're not quite getting up the spine either.
Now let's talk feet. The way a zombie's feet roll, drag, and land adds a ton of weight to the character. And this is a scenario where having animation reference is helpful to understand how a foot naturally moves.
In your ref, you're bending your foot more this way. So it's like the big toe is up higher than the pinky toe. And in the animation, you're doing kind of the opposite. I would explore it because it would be a cool thing to have, like when you peel up like this, you're keeping the big toe contacting for longer. And then when it swings through, if you change that a little bit and it kind of going like from this to then when it comes through, it does that and then it hits again. That change in shape is really nice and it'll feel organic. But at the moment, it feels like there's no real rotation on the foot. It feels like it lifts and then it plants, lifts and it plants, but it doesn't do any sort of rolling because it's heavy. And as a zombie, he's not really controlling his limbs and his feet that much, so the weight of them is going to affect how they move. The weight is going to come through a little bit more. It's going to feel like dead weight when he lifts it up.
Because he's a zombie? That's what they do.
Finally, let's talk about heel arcs. This is a more advanced topic, but it's all about how the heel moves off the ground and through the air. It's these small, polished details that can make your animation feel professional and fluid. Let's take a closer look.
Now for the peel off on the heel, it kind of gets stuck in this pose for a little bit. Both feet do. You could keep that slowly rotating up, and then when we get here, what happens is it rolls up on this line on that arc. Really great. And then it just translates straight forward. So it rolls up and then pop, translates straight forward. So what you want to try to do, which can be very challenging, and this is that extra layer of polish that can go into it that can make it really extra special, is get that arc to be fluid and consistent so that tracking the heel, it'll go like that. But you want that consistent arc on the heel. And so that means working with both the ball roll and the toe roll and the height of the foot when it comes off the ground, all of those things to connect together so that you do get something that kind of goes like this. And that is the line underneath the foot, is that it's going to be peeling up and then it lifts up and then it rotates back underneath for the swing forward, and when it goes underneath, it's like that. But that consistency through the roll and peel off and pick up and then set back down, those things are all working together, as well as the ankle. But all of those pieces have to work together to make that peel off feel organic and not like it hits a wall and then translates or anything like that. It'll be much more fluid, and that's hard to do. It's a balancing of multiple controllers. And then when you do lift it off into the air, there's many different ways to work. Do you have a one frame switch where you, on one frame, you zero out the ball roll and the toe roll all at once, and then you rotate the foot IK controller to be in the proper spot for where it should be based on the continuation of that motion over one frame? Or do you blend out of it over several frames and have the foot IK fluidly blend into the right pose while the heel rolls blend out? Things like that. And there's no right way. Everybody works differently, and there's many schools of thought. But the end result will be that fluid motion.
Thanks so much for watching. We hope you found these tips helpful for bringing your zombie animations to life. Or, you know, the opposite of life. If you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. And make sure to hit the notification bell so you never miss our latest videos. As always, stay tuned and stay animated.